So let's talk about the technology a little bit more. First of all, can you explain what a wave-based model is? And what's the difference with a purely geometrical based?
We're talking about simulation here, and simulation of sound, which is this idea of having a 3D model of some environment or something. It can be a environment of a space or a car or even like a model of a tech product, and you're sort of more modeling the inner workings of the product. But let's just think about a space like an open plan office or whatever, and then you want to, you have a 3D model of the geometry, you put in some sound source, which emits sound, and then you kind of simulate how that sound bounces around the room and reaches some listener position. And you can then use the simulation to design the space or optimize the speaker or whatever. And typically people divide the simulation algorithms or methods into two categories, one which is called geometrical acoustics and one which is called wave-based methods. There are some people who can argue about whether these are the right names or not, but whatever. Let's just stick with them. And in geometrical acoustics, fundamentally, it is an approximate approach where we approximate the sound wave as a ray that sort of bounces around the room, kind of following straight lines, similar to kind of laws of optics. And this implies that this is a high frequency approximation. It's an approximation that works quite well when we have a very short wavelength. So a high frequency approximation. But when you come to lower frequencies, when you have longer wavelengths, then acoustic phenomena or wave phenomena like diffraction and interference and phase and so on starts to play a much bigger role. And these effects can be hard to model in geometrical acoustics. And then but the main benefit of geometrical acoustics are great for many things, is the speed. It tends to be computationally efficient to do geometrical acoustics. Wave-based methods, on the other hand, there we don't approximate the sound wave as a ray. We instead really kind of solve the mathematical equations, the differential equations that describe wave motion on the computer. So these are inherently very precise methods. You capture inherently these phenomena like diffraction and interference and phase and so on. So this is a more precise approach, but the drawback of wave-based has been that it's much more computationally heavy, especially when you want to extend to big spaces and large or high frequencies, so large simulation problems. And then one of the main research breakthroughs behind Treble is to develop a wave-based algorithm that was much more efficient than what had been previously possible. That was brought about through both kind of advances in mathematics and numerical methods and so on, and then also in kind of utilizing powerful computing hardware. So those two things together, which meant that now it is possible to do wave-based modeling in a much more practical way than it's been possible before. It hadn't really found its way to kind of use in practice because it's always been so heavy, but with Treble it's very practical to do wave-based modeling.
And can you do that model based on the wave-based model at high frequencies, or there's a cutoff frequency where you just switch completely to geometrical? I presume you've got the opportunity to do it. You can change it depending on how long you want the calcs to last and how detailed.
Exactly. So in the Treble, in the Treble platform, we offer both approaches, and you can sort of choose whether to only use one or the other, or mix the two of them together. It's kind of makes sense to mix them together because geometrical acoustics are quite good at high frequencies, and wave-based kind of becomes heavier and heavier as you go up in frequency, and the most wave phenomena happens in the lower mid-frequency range. So it's a natural idea to kind of combine the two. And then, in sort of smaller rooms, it's definitely feasible to do wave-based only for the full spectrum. If you're doing a concert hall, then it's still kind of out of reach to do full bandwidth wave-based simulation, and then you would mix the two together.